This is a little bit of an overview of how to get started on your design portion of the project. And this is designing the alignment and the profile for your final project. And so here's the three files that you have access to. And so we've got survey-based project design and PPF. PPF stands for plan and profile drawing, and we'll have a separate video about what we use that for later. That's for making the sheets when we're done. Right now, the main thing to look for is that you keep all three of these files in the same folder, in the same directory on your computer, so you can find it. And we have our shared drive folder. You can keep those in there so that everybody in your team can open the files and see everything at once. Or if you guys want to use Dropbox or whatever system you want to do for your project, sorry about the phone there, then that's just keep them in the same folder so everybody can get to them. Like I say, if you're on campus or have easy access through remote access to campus, it may be easier to keep them on the S drive. Or I've got a Dropbox folder, that's where I keep my stuff on it. And so the main thing is, if they're not in the same folder, they won't find each other. They don't find their XREFs. They won't be able to see what the other ones are doing, and that's really important later on. So we're going to open up project design, because that's the one that you're actually doing all your work in. You shouldn't have to touch. You should never really have to open survey base. All right, so leave that alone. It just has to be in the same folder with project design. Project design is named that because that's where you're going to put your design. That's where you're going to aim to put your design in there. So we are going to open that one up, and I'm going to pop over here and I'm going to open it through AutoCAD, Civil 3D. I'm in 2021. If you open it in 2018 and then someone else in your team opens it in 2021, you won't be able to go back. You won't be able to open it in 2018 or on any earlier version. So whichever the newest version of AutoCAD you use, that's the only one that'll be able to open it from there on for that. And I'm gonna check here. I'm looking at the old one. Here's my project files, and I'm gonna open project design and open. And it takes a while. This is a slow program to load. There's a lot in it. It's a very big program. This is kind of a real world program. This is just exactly like what you would see in a consulting firm. And this comes straight out of a project I'd worked on previously. So I was going to ask you this, always ignore. Again, you'll see that pretty much every place you work. There's always some missing file or missing link. An SHX file is a different font file. If you wanted to use special fonts, sometimes your surveying company you get your survey from uses special fonts, and so you'll see that pop up. And then it's going to ask us here for a second. It's not going to be able to find all the references. Just ignore that too. And wait, there it goes. Yep, ignore all that stuff. And it'll finally start loading. Now it's going to take a long time to load. It's going to try to recreate corridors and references and all that stuff for that. And you just have to be a little bit patient. All right, if you move your mouse around and you still don't see the icon, you don't see the pointer, or you see the weight, that just means it's working on it. Just give it a second. Here down here you can see it's modeling the corridor. Once it's done, then we're ready to roll. And this is pretty exciting videoing, as we watch it try to model the corridor for that. And the reason it's doing this is there had been a model in here previously, again from when this file originally came from. It's trying to recreate that stuff. That stuff's not in there anymore. So we'll finally finish up and we'll be done then. And it should be almost done. Yep, and almost always you're going to get unreconciled new layers. Just X that out. We don't care about that. And now we can move around. Here's our design file. These are the contours that are coming in from one of the layers on there. We can shut that off. If we go over here to layer properties, we're in the home screen, layer properties. I move it over to my second screen. I'm going to bring it back over so you can see it. And there it is, and that's under C Topo. If I turn off EX with the freeze button, this is turn off, this is freeze. I'm going to freeze it, and that shuts off those contours. So C Topo, freeze, those are gone. And that's the only reason I'm shutting those off is so it makes my screen a little easier to read, a little clearer. And you can see in the background, you can still see the old contours. That's coming in out of the survey base file. And then you can see all these edges of pavements in here. There's grayed out portions and little trees and all that. Those are all also coming in from survey base. If you don't see any of this stuff and only see this magenta color, that means you do not have survey base in the right subdirectory. It's not finding it. And so that's typically because it hasn't popped over into the same, it's not in the same folder. Right, so you just double check, make sure you're in the same folder. That's normally what that happens there. Let's look at a few things as we go through. We looked at this file once before. You were designing the end of this bridge down here. And now we're actually designing this section going off to the west. The river is right here. This is kind of a marshy low area. And then it goes up a big hill and goes around a little bit of a curve. And then it comes across here to the west to a big intersection. And the intersection, the center of the new intersection will be right here. And you can see I've labeled all of this. These will be the center line of your approaches, both north and south and off to the west. Through that, we're going to use our surface name is EG. I'll show you here in a second where that matters. And the center of our intersection is going to be right here. And we're going to start our alignment right at the center where this is pointed. We're going to follow this as much as we can off to the east as we move back to the east. We're going to finish our alignment right at this point way down here, and I give you the elevation and what grade we're going to finish at. We're going to finish at an upgrade at 0.4%, so it'll be rising from left to right. Well, I've labeled here that you can put water in. This could be a future drainage basin here, so this could be one place you can take your water. You have to design your hydraulics for this, so you can take your water here, or there's also going to be a future pond in this corner. At this intersection, you can bring your water here. You're going to look at your contours. These are your contour elevations for the natural ground level. And you're going to decide if I'm going to move the water down this direction through my ditches and then have a culvert pipe and cross over here and put my water in this area, or am I going to bring water this direction and bring it to this point. Either way, any water that falls along your road, either north or south of it or on the road itself, has to get to either this point or this point in the end. That's what we're going to be checking for on that. Okay, that's I guess some brief things to get started and what we're seeing in this drawing. And so your first question may be, well, how do you start? So the process that we follow is first we design the alignment, and then we're going to design the profile. You have to do the alignment first so that you know where your existing ground is, and then once you're happy with your alignment, then we design the profile. And you can tweak them later. You can move things around later, and that's what's really nice about Civil 3D. It makes it very easy to move stuff and change things as they go. But still, you want to have a pretty decent alignment in first, and I'll show you why, before we design in our profile. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today, is how to design in this alignment first, and then we're going to go to the profile. Okay, so here's our starting point, and we are going to start up here. Yep, I think we're ready to go. All right, so here's our main design window. Up here, it's under this Create Design. We're on the Home tab on that. First thing we want to do is alignment. So right there is alignment. All right, we can get started on the alignment. So I'm going to click Alignment, and I'm going to go to Alignment Creation Tools, because that's what we want to do. You can do fancier stuff here, but we want to start with the basic one. We're going to do Alignment Creation Tools. Click that. Pops up. What am I going to name my alignment? You can pick any name you want. Typically, we call new alignments PR or something. That stands for Pavement Relocate or Paper Relocate. Called either thing. I'm going to call mine after my own self. I'm going to call it PRJ. Sounds cool, so I'm going to name it after me. What kind of an alignment is it? Is it offset, a curb, a rail, miscellaneous? It's a center line. This is the center of our new road. It's going to be a center line alignment. You can tell it what your description is if you want. I don't need to tell it that. I told you down here to start at station 10 plus 00, so I am going to type in 1000, which is the same as 10 plus 00, right? It automatically fixes it for you, and it shows it as a station. Great. Is it part of a site? No, it's not. What kind of a style do we want? Which is, what's it going to look like on our sheet when we're done and in our file? And so you can pick different kinds of styles. I am going to use this alignment PRK. That was the one we used to use before. And this is what it's going to call it. And how do we want to label it? And do I want to do alignment label set, cross section, major, minor, all these weird things? I'm going to go align label set. That was a pretty good set. So I would suggest you use this. Stick with that. All right, that'll make it easy. And then we click OK. We're ready to go. It brings up a box here. This is our alignment creation tools. A lot of times it pops in at the very top of the screen. You may have to go find it for that. And now I'm going to zoom in because I need to line up on this and pick my first point. So I'm going to keep zooming in. I'm using the middle wheel on my mouse to zoom in. If I hold the wheel down, I pan and I can move it around. I'm going to zoom in on it because I have to snap to that. Once I'm close enough, I'm back in this little box, and I'm going to click in here to draw tangent to tangent with no curves, and that's exactly how we start these. So we're going to click this. And if you ever get lost, look at this. I can't really point to it. Look at this next to your cursor. It says specify start point. It's telling you what to do, or come down here, and it will also tell you what it's waiting for. It's waiting for the start point. Where's my start point? I am going to snap. You can see I've got the little box there. Snap right to that. Now I'm drawing. As you can see, I've got this white line. They call this rubber band. I've got this white line, and I'm going to start off going in this direction because that's the direction we're supposed to head. We're supposed to be on this alignment. That's the center of the intersection. I was at station 10 plus 00. I'm going to come out here, and I don't know how far I'm going to come. It doesn't really matter, and we'll figure it out. It's a little slow. It's going to try snapping to a bunch of things. That makes it slower. I'm just going to click, and now I'm going to. So that was my first tangent coming off of there. Now I'm looking here, and just a hint: all these cross-hatched little areas, here and here and here and here, those are houses. That's the front side of someone's house. So do I want to go through the houses, or do I want to stay close to the old road? This is the old road down here. I'm probably going to want to avoid those houses because those are, going to make all the neighbors mad at me if I nuke all their houses. So I'm going to come down here and let's jump to this side. Look, there's no houses over here. That's better, right? And then I'm going to come down here, and now I've got a curve. Here's this road, the old road curve. And I have to end up here. I have to end up on this alignment. I could jump straight here, but, well, there's a house there. So I probably shouldn't do that. Let's put in another tangent here. This will end up being the PI, the point of intersection. So I'm going to put one in there. And then I'm going to jump down here. And we can move these later. I'll show you here in a second. I'm going to jump in here, jump one there. And now I'm going to tag this on to, we have to be lined up and ready to go on that point. I'm going to tag there. I'm going to add one extra one on the end so I can make sure I am aligned. And when I'm done, I right click or I hit escape. And that finishes my alignment. If you zoom in now, look, I have set PIs. I have set points of intersection, and it gives me the station number. Right? We are now 3,300 feet past where we started. Right? This is over half a mile. And here's this one. My end project is down there. And so I technically need to end here, but I added this extra piece in just to make sure I get this thing straight and correctly lined up for that. Here's my other PIs, right, for that. And if I don't like them, if I already decide this doesn't look very good, let's come back here and look. I'm actually pretty close. This one should be a little bit further south maybe. I click my alignment, and now that I see this triangle is, give it a second, it's thinking. Come on, there it goes. All right, this triangle is, the blue triangle is the PI grip point. If I grab that, I can move it over. I can scoot this thing down. There it goes. And I moved the whole alignment. And I just moved it. It recalculated everything for me. I'm a little bit closer to that magenta line. Maybe I'll go a little bit further south yet. All right, let's get this right. Click that. Move it over. Right. It's so far away I can't see it while I'm doing it, so I just have to click and move and then come back, pan back over here and see. I'm still pretty far off. Should do a better job of this, right? I should know better. How about that? We'll move a big jump here. And that's going to be good enough for our start. You should probably do a little better job than I did. You can put a PI right on the end of it. You may not want to leave that PI there, and eventually you can erase those. You come up here, and this will take out an extra PI. You can do a delete on that if you want. And so I'm done moving those PIs, and so I'm going to jump back here, and all is good. All right, for that I'm still in this PRJ, whatever alignment my design alignment is. Well, what's next in alignments? Well, this is a nice, I guess, very rigid straight line PI, tangent, tangent, tangent all the way through. Well, we need curves. Right? We don't want just tangents. We have to put curves in here for cars to go around. And so I'm going to come up here. This is the curve tool. I'm going to drop down. We're going to use free curve fillet or fillet, whichever way you want to say it. So I'm going to use free curve fillet, and I'm going to specify the radius. I don't want to specify the point it has to pass through. I just want to give it the radius. And you did your design criteria. You know what radius you need to use now based on your design speed. Right? So what's my first entity? What's to the left of the PI I want to use? And then what's my next one? It's over there. Right? And am I going to go around this side or am I going to go around this side? Well, I'm going to go around the less than 180. We're always going to choose less than 180 for our solution. And now what's my radius? Well, based on your design speed, you know what horizontal curve radius you need to use. And I don't know what you picked. I'm going to just pick something. So I'm going to pick 500 feet. This is in imperial measurements, so it's in feet. So there it goes. Oh, look at this. I got my own little horizontal curve, dropped it in. Because I picked the proper alignment style when we set up this alignment, it automatically puts in the curve, the little circle here, at my point of curvature and at my PT, my point of tangency back here, and here's my PI. That's it. Automatically labels everything for you. Isn't that nice? This is great. And let's drop down. It's ready to do the next curve. It's still waiting for a first entity. I'm going to drop down here. I'm going to pick my next tangent and then my next one. And it's still going to be a less than 180. And I don't know, let's use a 400-foot curve here. I'll use a little shorter one. Okay, there it is. And we'll show you in a second here that you can change these later. Right. So that probably should have been bigger. That one looks really small. How about down here? This is a much sharper angle, a much larger delta. And 180. Let's keep this. Let's go 400 again. Now, a 400-foot radius here, it really makes a difference because this is much larger delta, much larger change in angle as we go through that. And we got one down here, my last one, and less than 180. I'm going to put in a bigger curve here. Let's see what a big curve looks like. Oh, that's not that big. So there's a 500-foot, right? And then I'm done. And here's my end point right there. And I'm going to hit escape or the right mouse button to get back out of here. And now I'm back. I'm out of add curve mode and I'm in my general AutoCAD edit mode through here. Well, what if now I don't really like where that is? Well, I can just come in. If I click the alignment, it shows all the grip points and I can move tangents. I can move, if I grab the triangles, I can move the PIs still. And I can actually move the curve a little bit if I want to do that. Well, that's going to make a mess. I would not recommend you start pulling these grips around, and you might have to start over. I've had trouble with those over time. But this one's safe. I know that moving the PI is safe. All right. And so if I didn't like where that PI was, let me zoom out here. Look, I can move this sucker around. Look at that. Oh, to a degree, I can move it out of the way. Now, if you move it too much, it's going to tell you you've got a problem with the next tangent down. Oh, look at that. I really moved that thing. Right. And that's not good because now I've got I'm out of alignment over here. I'm not in the right bearing as we get there. But you can see it was pretty easy to move. I'm going to hit Control-Z to put this back where it was. I kind of liked it where it was before. Now, if I don't like my curve radiuses, the easiest way to change those, or I think the better way to change those, is I'm going to come up here, and this is in the older versions, this is called table view. Now they call it alignment grid view. I'm going to click alignment grid view. It's going to pop up on my other screen. I'm going to pull it back over here. Yours will probably pop up on whatever screen you're working on. Start with, it's kind of, I can't see much, so I'm going to carefully hit the corner there and grab this and move it over. This is showing you all of your tangents and all of your curves. And so it's the tabular view, the data view of your alignment, right, for that. And here's my last curve. My last curve is here, and it was 500 feet, right? And if I click the 500 feet, and let's say I want to make it 600 feet, and here it is, right? And it's highlighted it. It's added a little bit of color to it. So you're on that curve. It's telling you, hey, this is the one you're looking at. Let's make it 600. Tag it in. Oh, it changed it for me, right? So that's the easy way to very quickly change your radius in your curve, right, for that. And you can, anything in the darker bold type, you can change in here. And so there that is. And if I wanted to go 750, let's see if we can make it even bigger. All right, oop, there. And you can see it pulls it a little further away from the PI because it's a larger radius now. And that's a quick way to check your radii and to get those all tagged in there on that. So that's, I say that is a nice way to do that. If you want to move your tangents, you can. You have to unlock these things first. Right, for that, if you wanted to change your bearing, if you wanted to change the station, let's go over here. I can change the degree. Usually, I think I have to unlock these two. That's not a good way to do it. Yeah, now it's going to let me change it. If you really knew what angle exactly you wanted to run, you can do that way too. It's not for the horizontal, the PIs. I move them. Right? I move them, and you can draw in CAD over here. All right, a lot of times I'll draw over the top of this line and I'll extend that just using a CAD line for that. And then let's see, this is a little bit off target, so I want to move that back up a little. Move back up to there. All right, so that's straightening that out a little. But that's normally how I change my tangents, is just maybe I already draw them in on tangents where I want to be. Maybe I'll draw a line in over the top of the center line of the existing road, and I'll match my new alignment right over the top of that, or offset it one side or the other a little bit. But so I don't normally do that in this grid view. I do use this grid view all the time to change the radiuses, the radii, as they go through these. And when you're done, you can just click and close that. And then this is the button that brings it back if you want to see it again for that. All right. And that's the simple way of just tagging in, adding in alignment. And now we've got an alignment. And the next step, and so I'm going to close my alignment tools, and I'm done. There we go. And we've got a little bit, I should have probably used a bigger radius curves over here. I'll let you do a better job on yours. This is just a demo. All right, so there's my little alignment. Here's a house. Right, here are some houses all along here. Looks like I'm missing them, probably. All right, you're going to see later, you can check these later as you go through to see if you are. Well, you have to create a corridor, and I'm not sure we're going to do that for this. But you're going to offset how far off of this line. This is your center line. You'll offset your lane width, and then your shoulder width, or your curb if you're using curb and gutter. And hopefully those that misses all the houses as you go through there. So the next step after this is, after an alignment, is profile. It's right here. So alignment, profile, corridor, intersection. They kind of hint to you which order you should be doing these things in. So profile is next. I'm clicking that. The first thing we have to do is create a profile using the existing ground surface, so that when you do your design profile, the profile of your future road, you can see where the existing ground is. And what we do, this create surface profile, it pulls the existing profile of the ground underneath your new alignment, which is shown here in this bright white. Right? And so you see these old contour lines under here. That's what it's going to use, and it's going to tell you, it's going to show you here in a second what your existing ground is underneath this white line, underneath your new design profile. And that's because that's where you're going to be designing your new design profile. And to do a good job designing your design profile, you need to know where the existing ground is under there. And so that's the first step then, is to do create a profile from the existing surface. And surface is the contours back here. It's the ground surface. It's a surface model, sometimes we call it. Through that. So here's my alignment. So I'm going to come up to profile. I'm going to create a surface profile, because that's the first thing I need to know. And what alignment am I going to use? Well, here was an old one I must have left in here, sorry. All right, and I'm going to pick my alignment that I just made, PRJ, named after me. And it automatically knows I started at 10 plus 0, 0, and this is where it ended, because that's where it did end. And what surface am I going to use? Well, I told you over here. I'm going to cancel this. I told you over here. I gave you a hint. Oh, come on. It's thinking. So it does an automatic backup save every now and then, and it really slows things down. But you do want an automatic backup save, right? So I said use surface EG, right? So that's why when you come here, I know I'm supposed to use surface EG. Let's start over. I don't want that one. I want this one. PRJ. Oh, come on. There it goes. And I'm going to use EG because I told you to use that one. All right. And I'm going to add it. You have to add it to the profile list. Right now, it's not doing anything. So I picked PRJ, surface profile EG, click add. There it is. It added it down here. Do I want to offset it? Do I do anything really fancy? No, don't do anything fancy. All right. We're good. We're good here. All right. And what I want to do now, I want to draw it in a profile view. Because I want this to show up. I want to be able to see it. So I'm going to draw in profile view. Now it's going to ask us a bunch more questions. Here's the alignment. Yep, profile PRJ. What's my profile view name going to be? Well, I don't want to do anything fancy. I'm just also going to name it PRJ. I'm just going to name it again after the alignment for that. And what's my style going to be? And this is important. If you want to make it look like the rest of this tutorial, you're going to make sure you pick the right one. We're going to do basic profile 4VE. Right? The 4VE is a 4 times exaggeration vertical versus horizontal, which will be perfect for a 20-foot scale in the horizontal and a 5-foot per inch scale in the vertical. So it's 4 times vertical exaggeration. That's what the VE stands for, vertical exaggerations. All right, just take my hint here, just believe me, and use basic profile 4VE. Now, otherwise, your stuff is going to look way different, and it's going to be a mess when we use PPF later. All right, and you can go through and you can check other things and all that. You don't really need to. Just click Create Profile View. We're ready to create it. It's going to ask you, where do you want to drop this magic profile view? Well, don't drop it down here. It's going to be right in the way of everything. All right, zoom out slowly, and let's put it up here on top. And there it is. And this is a grid view of our surface profile, and is showing us in the green line are the existing elevation of the surface model we have, which is named EG. And this green line, which when we zoom in you can see it better, this green line exactly follows the existing contour elevation, the existing ground elevations underneath, directly underneath this white line. All right, if you walked along this white line, this is the vertical elevation that you would feel or see or walk. Here you're coming down the hill, and down here is the river. Right? So we said there's a river down here. Hey, we found it. All right, for that. In fact, we go through a low spot. We're off to the side of the road, so we go through a low spot, then we get back on that elevation there. All right, and that's our existing ground elevation. You definitely want this because now I can draw over the top of this with my new profile. If you zoom in carefully over here on the side, you can see here's the elevations. Right, it knows what elevation this was at, and down here, zoom in, here's a station number so you don't get lost. So here's your station, and here this number on this side of the line is your existing ground elevation at that station. And this is marked out every 50 feet. So here's 10 plus 0, 0. Here's 10 plus 50. Here's 11 plus 0, 0. Here's the elevation at 10 plus 50 on the existing ground. So it should be at 856.0. That's perfect right there. So let's look up here. Sure enough, it's right at 856.0. Well, to the nearest tenth. All right, that's good enough. Right, so that's our ground profile there. All right, so there's 855, there's 856, 856.1. Yep, that looks about right. And so that's what it's telling us as we go through. So that's how to read this. This will be more important later when you do the PPF, which will be a separate video. This won't be too long by itself. It already is too long. We're already 30 minutes in. All right, so the next step then is let's draw in our design profile. This is the existing ground, but that is not what the new road is going to follow. The new road is going to follow your new design profile, and that you haven't designed that yet. You have to put that in. And this line, I'm going to do a command called regen, R-E-G-E-N. Just type it in. It pops it up and hit enter. It's going to regenerate it, which to save time, AutoCAD does not redraw things as you zoom in and out until you type regen. So this line should have been a dashed line all along, just to make sure you know that it's existing. So things that are dashed normally mean they're existing. Things that are solid mean they're proposed. They're new stuff. That's how we normally do drawings. So this dashed line means this is the existing ground. Yeah, I just told you it was, but now we can make sure we know it's existing ground for that. And then now we're going to do our design profile. So we created the surface profile. Now we are going to do profile creation. And so we're going to do profile creation tools. The first thing it asks us is, which viewport, which profile view are we going to be working in? Well, we just made this one. We're going to work in this one. You can click any point, any line in this profile view. And I tagged it, and it knows what it is. Oh, this is alignment PRJ. Yes, it is. All right. And so that's it. And we've got that. What's our new profile name? I'm going to call this PRJ here. Maybe I should, yeah. And what's my profile style? Do I want to use the left ditch style? Do I want to use the right ditch style? No, I don't. I want to use design profile, because that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the design profile. I'm going to pick design profile. It's all in caps here. And this is what the layer name it's going to be creating for me. That looks great. Profile PRJ. So perfect. How do I want to label it? Do I want to label it like a ditch? No, I don't want to label it like a ditch. I want to label it like an alignment. That's what it is. So I'm clicking that. And now I'm clicking OK. And it's going to pop up. It looks a lot like the horizontal design one on purpose, right? And so what are we going to start with? We're going to start with plopping in our PVIs, point of vertical intersections, just tangent to tangent. And we're going to do tangents, drawing tangents without curves. Where's my start point? Well, my start point is right here, right? Existing ground at that middle of that intersection at the start of my alignment. So I click there, and I'm going to be drawing in red. So the design profile is in red, right? And if we zoom out, there's a lot of red going on here. It's a little hard to watch. You can come down here and you can turn on display line weight. That's this button here. Click that, and now, whoa, you aren't going to lose that. All right, for that. If you don't see this tool, come over here to the corner and make sure line weight is clicked on. So I can click it on. This adds it to your toolbar at the bottom here. And so now it's on. So if you don't see that, there it is. And now I'm rubber banding again, and I told you what grade to start at. You can check that in a minute. I think we started at a positive grade, a slight positive grade. And do you want to perfectly match the existing ground? No, probably not. Remember, each of these bold red lines in the vertical here is 100 feet. So that's 300 or 400 feet back. We don't want our PVIs too close together. We don't get people to get motion sick, like going up and down a roller coaster. So we're going to move these out a little bit. Maybe we're going to go all the way out here. Here's the top of the hill. Maybe I'm just going to tag in here somewhere. And then, okay, then it drops. Maybe I'm going to put in a little sag in here. All right, and I'm just setting my PVIs. And, another big hill here. I don't know, maybe I want to be up above that hill a little bit. Maybe we want to stretch it a little. Let's go here. All right, so you're gonna do a little cut here. You're gonna be removing a little dirt here. You're gonna be removing a little here. You're gonna be filling in a little there. This is a cut. Anytime the green line is above your red line, you're gonna be cut. We call it. You're removing soil. We're gonna be talking about that in class, how to do earthwork quantities shortly. Here's the big downhill, right? Do I want to break this and have a couple points? Do I want to do one single big one? Big slope? I don't know. Let's just tag a couple in. To get started, you can remove all this later. Right? It's not hard. Maybe I'm going to drop one in here, and then I think I have to come back up here and match this and be at about a 0.4. I'm just going to draw that in. All right, when I'm done, I can do the right click or I hit escape. And there it is. So I've got my profile in. Once things get lost, though, I can turn that bold back off, the line weight off. Okay. So you can see where I'm above and below the existing ground. Whoa, don't click that. I somehow hit the whole, I selected the entire grid. And so here I'm filling in a little bit. I'm a little above the existing ground and so forth and on and so on. And just like in the horizontal view, now I get to add in, I'm going to turn this back on. Now I get to add in my curves. And it's the same, it looks like the same icon here. I'm again going to do free vertical curve parabolic. I don't know who uses circular, never use that. So we're going to use free vertical curve parabola, it's parabolic curves. Right, click that. All right, what's my first entity? What's the first tangent? And so where are my PVIs at? I guess it's way down here. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to click here. Select next entity. What's my curve length? And so we set in parabolic curves by the length of the vertical curve. And so if I picked a 100-foot vertical curve, it would start here and it would end there because that's 100 feet in this scale. If I picked a 200-foot vertical curve, I'd start there and it would go to there. So that's 200 feet. And it's centered around the PVI. They're always centered around the PVI. And you know how long a curve you need. Well, you know what the K value is. And you can use K. If you click K, you can enter this by K value. I usually go by length first, and then I fix my Ks later. And so I'm going to do a 200-foot. That seems like a small one. Let's go at 300-foot vertical curve. I like even numbers. Oop, there it is. And again, just like it did in the horizontal, here's my tangent, here's my PVI, and the red line is now following the actual curve. That'd be the actual elevation of the center of your road, because it's going to follow the horizontal curve. And it's ready to do the next curve. It's asking you for the next entity. Okay, well that one was fairly boring, not very dramatic. Let's do the next one. How long should this one be? Let's do a 200-foot curve here. Ooh, oh yeah, look at that. All right. And this is the tangent. Here's my point of vertical tangency on the first curve. You might coming into the point of vertical curvature on the second curve. Right? Do that. If it tells you no solution, if you're doing this and it says no solution, it means these two aren't far enough apart and it's trying to put two curves over the top of each other. It's normally what the problem is. Try a smaller length of curve. All right, check where your PVCs and PVTs are. Just try using a smaller length to start with. We can fix all this later. All right, that looks like a fair one. We're still a little bit below ground level. That's fine. And then over here, okay, and this is a big grade change, right? Our capital A, our total change in grade is very large here. Let's see, let's put in a big curve. Let's see something dramatic. Let's put a 500-foot curve in. Whoa, look at that thing. That's really awesome looking. All right, look at that. And we only have a little bit of tangent. We only have 100 foot of tangent in between. Then we're cut through the top of this hill. We are taking that hill out, and then we start down this big hill over here. This is a little tiny one. This one, we're going to use a really long curve, otherwise you won't even be able to see it. We're going to use like a 600-foot curve. Oh, yeah, that's a little too long. Let's use a 400-foot curve. There we go. All right, yeah, it's not very dramatic. And then we finally, down here, we have our final sag curve. I'm going to click this guy. Come on. There. So you have to zoom in a little bit to get it to select better. Yeah, let's try another 400-foot curve here. Ooh, and it does not like that. Oops. Okay. I hit escape. I bounced out of this. I think I did not get a curve in here. I think it failed because I accidentally hit the wrong thing. So I can just come here and hit the curve button again. Entity, next entity, curve length. Let's do a smaller curve. Maybe it didn't like how long my curve was. There it is. Now we got it. And there we go. And when I hit escape to bounce out, it labels it for me. That's why we picked the label thing. All right, isn't that cool? Here's my PVI. Here's the elevation of this PVI point. And here's the length of my vertical curve. Awesome. All right, I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to click this grid view. Or now call it the grid view. Here's where all my PVI stations are. I am a big fan of making even stations, and so I will fix these here if I don't like that. Not right at first. Get your K values right first. I can manually change the grade. I do use this a lot. If I know I need to end on a 0.4 up, so like here I'm on a negative 0.15. Well, that's wrong. According to my notes, this has to be a positive 0.40%. So I will manually tag that in there. It fixed this for me. All right. And now that outgoing grade is magically 0.4. It's a little, it blinks around a lot. It always looks a little weird, as you can see. Right. If you're, when in doubt, just hit escape a bunch of times. That's how AutoCAD works. Just hit escape. All right. Well, now I'm back to that view, but I want to get back to this. And I can go to here, and then I can go back to geometry editor. That's what that was called. And back to grid view. There it is. So it's back. Don't worry, you didn't lose it. All right, through there. And here's my 0.4%. Awesome. And so I came down. That's a steep grade, right? 5%, -5, then -3. What's the max grade that you guys said you wanted to use? Well, if it's over 5, if 5 was your max, you're out of luck. You know, you're gonna have to fix this. So you can fix it by double clicking it. Eventually it works. And so forth. If you want to change your K values, here's your K value, right? Okay, well, 62, well, maybe this 47 is a little bit low. Probably is. Let's zoom out. Let's go find this one. This one is over here. Actually, this one down here. Maybe my 48 is a little low. Maybe my K value should be 60. I don't know. Oh, it automatically changed it. Look at that. How nice is that? This is an awesome program. That's why it makes our life easy. Oh, but you know, Professor Grossman hates odd numbered curve lengths. So it says it's a 248.47. Awful. Ugh, that's ugly. I'm going to make this 250. All right, now my K is a little bit bigger than the K I needed. Awesome. As long as it's bigger, it's fine. All right, and I've got a nice round number, and I'm at, my PVI is at a perfect little PVI station, and it's a round PVI station. This is a beautiful, pretty design. This gets extra points, all right, because that's how we like things to be pretty. All right, over here, yep, I'm right on it. The first time you go through, just hack it in. It doesn't matter if you've got even stations and beautiful, pretty numbers, right? You can adjust all that later. In fact, this is the easy way to adjust it all. This is, when I'm done with the design, I come back through here and I fix all my PVIs to make them perfect. You know, usually I go to the nearest 25 feet, 0.00. Don't ever use decimals, right, on it. And you can go to 10 feet if it's really tricky, but usually within 25, you're going to be close enough. All right, for that, and my curve lengths, I want to have my PVC and PVTs at an even station. So I'm always going to use an even number in here so that I can be exactly half the curve length either direction of the PVI. And again, you know, I would go to the nearest multiple of 10 probably. 50 is better, but I'd go to 10 would be my minimum through that. So I usually use a curve length that's I mean, like 250 is good. 260, I could live with that. If it gets tight, if you're really close to your tangents, you know, then yeah, go to the nearest 10 through that. But again, if you keep an even number on your curve length, that's going to give you an even number station at your PVC and your PVT, which is a pretty design. It's the pretty way to do it. I don't care if K is pretty. That can be ugly because no one's really going to see that in the field when you're laying this out, you know, with your surveyor through that. So then no one's going to see the K values. They are going to see the curve length and they're going to see your stations. And so that's what's pretty. We want to make that pretty for that. And that's really it. You know, you've just now designed a road. And now you're going to go through and you're going to check your design criteria. You're going to make sure that your up and down tangents, your max and min grades are met. You're going to make sure that your K values are met and so forth. Right. And then we're all good. And we can close this window when we're done. Through that, hit escape when you're done. And then whatever changes you made, it's going to update your labels now. If you move stuff around, it's going to update all those labels. And then you're going to ask yourself, you know, each one of these lines is 1 foot. And you can say, do I want to be 3 feet below the existing ground here? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. You know, maybe that's a lot. You know, you probably, if you're over 5 feet different, you better have a good reason for it. How's that? All right. Or, you know, if you cut a lot over the top of this hill, then you want to be a little bit higher down here to kind of, you can use that dirt you cut out of the top of the hill down here in a low area if you need to be. All right, for that. And you do have to match where I told you to be. So let's come down, back down here. Here's my alignment line. This is where the notes were, right? I told you you had to end at elevation 801 at grade 0 plus 0.4%, and that has to be at station 4381.07. So what was it, 861? I can't remember anything. Elevation 801.4 at 43 plus 81, 801, sorry. So we come up here at 43, here's 44, here's 43. So it's somewhere right in here. We need to be at 861. I need to be higher. All right, so I'm too low. So I need to move all this up to match. So I told you where at and what elevation to be at. Your profile has to be at that elevation exactly as you get there. And that's why quite often I like to stick an extra PVI in here just for that reason. So I can move this thing up. If I wanted to, I don't really want to do it that way. Honestly, what I prefer to do is prefer to do it this way. And I jump in here and I say, oh, what station and elevation was I supposed to be in? I'll just type it in because I can't remember anything. So I don't remember what it was, 843. See, I already forgot. And I know this one was 801.00. And I know that the grade has to be 0.40. And guess what? I don't have to guess. I am exactly where I told myself I had to be in the notes. All right, so you can, and we do this all the time, right? We find this is exactly how we do it in real world design. Is I know where my road ends. It has to match the road that's already there. I know what the elevation and the location of that road is, and I know what grade it's at. And I will exactly do this. I just jump in there and I will type in this and I will set that grade and the elevation to exactly match my existing road. For that. And why doesn't it match the existing ground is because the old road isn't where the new road is supposed to be. Right? The old road, at this point, its center line is over here. I'm a little bit off center. Right? The new bridge was off. We moved it over a little bit. So we were a little bit off of that. Otherwise, it probably would have matched right on top of that green line. So that's probably more than you wanted to know, but that's how you do design. That'll be your next piece. After this, after you're done with this, and you get everything looking good in the grid view up there and all your horizontal stuff looks good, then we will jump over and I'll show you how to make sheets, how to actually make the production sheets that you would actually give to the contractor. The contractor won't see this, hopefully. We'll never see the design file. Now and then we share it. But what they see is the sheets. That's what you print out. That's what the PPF drawing is. The PPF drawing makes the construction documents, makes the sheets that you are going to then share with everybody in the field and the contractor that you're going to be using for inspection of that. All right, that'll do it for now. Hopefully this is a good start to your design process. That'll be the next piece. That'll be the next submittal that's due.